Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the fourth webinar in our series. This one will be focusing on future innovators, future engineers, and robo sports. With us today, we have Dani Heymans, our national organizer, who will be going through future innovators and the future engineers category. Unfortunately, our special guest, Dr. Johan Bernardi, is not able to join us today. Something has happened, and we hope that he will join us in future webinars. For all of you doing future engineers, there should be a special webinar with Johan Bernardi where he can go through all of the different things around future engineers for you. So please don't fret, there is something there for you if you are doing future engineers. For Robo Sports, we have Dr. Tony Williams. Isn't it funny how we have so many doctors with us today? But we've got Dr. Tony Williams who'll be going through Robo Sports with you and its wonderful category. As always, we will have our Q&A right at the end of our presentation. So if you have any questions at any point, you are welcome to type them into the chat and the Q&A once I have that all activated and running. All right, I am going to pass to Dani.
Welcome everybody. I'm not going to repeat all those messages, but it's good to be presenting these categories to you. Thanks for coming on board and showing an interest. And always the questions that we get from our teams helps us to obviously be more clear about rules that we have to pursue, etc., etc. Okay, so I'm going to move on from there. We'll be covering, as Duncan said, future engineers, future innovators, and robo sports, and then we're going to do the future innovators first, starting with just a nice picture of the South African teams from last year and all the teams. And strangely enough, it has been one of the first times that we actually managed to get the whole contingent into one photograph. All right, now moving into to the future innovators. Typically, the old open category where you work on a project and design and build a robot. Basically, the age groups 8 to 12, 11 to 15, 14 to 19, which is elementary, junior, and senior. And for that, obviously, we have a theme. So, you know, the theme this year is Earth Allies, with Turkey being the hosts. And basically, I'm just going to name the main highlighted words, which is Earth and destructive natural elements. Natural events, and teams that will design and develop a robot model that keeps us safe from natural dangers and disasters and helps us live in harmony with nature. So you can read that. Sustainable future. That's option one. Option one, our Earth. We want our Earth to be livable for the coming generations, green and sustainable. Option two, the force of nature. Humans have always settled into areas that offer favorable opportunities, but prone to natural disasters. So we need to find ways with robots, perhaps, to assist us to coexist. Modern technology and robotics can help to prevent damage from natural disasters or work to recover from the impact on living spaces. We actually have quite a lot of that in South Africa at the moment with the storms we've had in the Cape, and then I know that KZN actually had some struggles yesterday. Moving on to the next slide. Future innovators, again, there's a nice little picture of what it looks like at international level. So at provincial and national level in South Africa, you will be presented with a table, 2 chairs, a PowerPoint, and a tablecloth on the table, and you've got to bring your model and your solution and put it on that table to present to judges. And you can also bring a backboard or a front board so that you can put pictures up, etc., etc., and to obviously show the judges what you've been doing. The teams, as with all WRO teams, there's 2 to 3 participants. The cubicle space generally at International is 2 meters by 2 meters by 2 meters. And the very, very nice thing about the Future Innovator category is there's no restrictions on robotics platforms. So you can use any robotics platform that you want, and also obviously any code. Okay, so, and that doesn't mean you have to be very technical. You can still keep it simple by just using easily manageable robots that can demonstrate your prototype properly and works all the time. The intricacy of the Future Innovators is that you have a 10-minute presentation to judges, of which 5 minutes is the presentation itself, where all of you will have it, all the presenters or the participants will have a turn to present parts of the solution to the judges. And then after that, there are 5 minutes of questions from the judges. Basically, the judges will be testing you to see if you really know what you're talking about. We want to know which roles you play within that, because somebody may code well and somebody may build well. Okay, and then the other thing is your pitch or your presentation to 2 to 3 judges may happen 2 or 3 times, so that you, for example, will be scored on the rubric, which has a maximum of 200 points, by at least 4 or 6 judges, because it's the average between those judges, which will then give us a ranking to deliberate the top 3 places eventually. Typically, some of the topics within that rubric, which you'll find on the website under the Future Innovators category, and it's slightly different for the 3 age groups. Project innovation, research and report, robotic solution, and then there's the presentation and team spirit. And the other thing is, when you work towards this, we know the kids are very, very nervous, but we want them to have fun in presenting the work that they've done. The solution, yes, they're working towards a solution. The judges will normally try and settle them down so that they're feeling more confident to communicate, etc. And some advice I always give to teams, and I'm going to give it now, is that if you forgot to cover something in your presentation time, because the timing is strict, then try and remember to add it into an answer to one of the questions of the judges. Good advice. Right, let's move on to Robo Sports. So Robo Sports, we are going to, Tony is trying to join us. He might be listening, but I'm going to talk it through anyway, because he was going to do that for us. Tony Williams, Dr. Tony Williams is our head judge for Robo Sports in South Africa, and also Robo Football from a few years back. But doubles tennis, basically 2 robots. First of all, let's go to the age group, 11 to 19 years old. Teams compete with 2 robots in an exciting game. So this year, obviously, it's doubles tennis. Critically, the match will be the same this year and for next year. So you'll still be doing doubles tennis this year and next year. It may change after that, because we can't just have the same robots playing tennis continuously. We want to prompt teams to actually build other robots for a different sport and have different things to do. Each team on their side has 2 robots or players, and they need to be fully autonomous, no remote control. Teams play 3 matches against each other of 2 minutes each, okay, and that determines obviously who the winner is. The format of the draw on the day obviously depends on how many teams there are. So it may be a knockout, it may be multiple plays, or a round robin if there's not enough teams, etc., etc. But that's easy enough to accept. So until last year, we only had orange balls. Okay, so Tony, I believe you're on here. So good. Thanks, Tony. Thanks for joining us. I'm glad we got through that glitch.
Yeah, so down there, I just came on and I don't know what you said. I just heard that you said last year we had orange balls, but I do believe you meant the game. Yeah, so there was 4 orange balls on each side of the game, and you had to get that to the other side. This year, however, there's a little spanner in the works. They added 2 purple balls. And the idea is that the purple balls should not be kicked away. You should keep the purple balls on your side. And that counts as a -2. So the orange balls you kick away and it scores points on the other side. and the purple balls you keep, that's a -2, and the side with the least amounts of points win. So keeping a purple ball will actually make your score lower. Danny might have said each team has 2 robots, fully autonomous, play three matches. Now 3 matches becomes a game. This might be a little bit confusing because in real tennis, a few games makes a match, but this is just the opposite. 3 matches makes a game, and a match is 2 minutes. And if you win a game, you get 3 points. If you draw a game, both sides get 1 point. So let me see on this next slide. A team consists either of 2 or 3 participants, but 2 robots. And the only controller, 1 controller per robot. So this year, you can have even an Arduino controller. All the official Arduino controllers are allowed. So that is your Uno, your Nano, all these little ones. 1 battery up to 9 volts. You're not allowed to go more than 9 volts on your battery pack. And of course, nothing must be purple or orange on your robot because the other robot's gonna see it. If you have a pixie camera to see the orange, it will see it and distract that robot. If there's any distractions, the team causing the distraction will lose that game. So the controllers are allowed, the EV3, the Inventor, the Spike Prime. It does not state there anything of the NXT. So please do not come with an NXT on the day. Only those that are mentioned there. So many game rules for which you will need to refer to the document and register for relevant webinars. Many game rules. There is fair play in all the rules, and the judge or the referee on the day, he will decide whether it was fair play, and that judge's decision is final. I don't know if there's questions now or anytime, but you can ask it maybe afterwards. I'm going to give that control back to Dani. Thank you very much.
Right, Tony, thanks very much, and thanks for coming in so spontaneously. That was actually a magical moment, because it doesn't normally happen like that. So thanks for your base information there. Because Johan is also not on board today, let me just move up one to Future Engineers. And because Johan's not available today, something I did discuss with him earlier is that even with Robo Sports and with Future Engineers, we're obviously doing slightly more in depth over here. But the point is that once we have registration of all these teams, what we'll do is we will do a complete webinar purely on each of these particular categories, so that everybody who is registered can come onto that, and we'll have a Q&A, and that'll be quite open so that you cover all the questions that you don't have. Remember that you can ask questions on the Q&A on the website, but also if you have any questions, to send an email to wro@handsontech.co.za. Right, so now let's move on to Future Engineers. Same as Robo Sports, this particular category is has been going for 2 years. This is year 3, and will still be the same mat and challenge next year. Okay, there are 1 or 2 changes, but before we even go there, let's look at the age group, which is 14 to 19 years old. And you know, the main title of Future Engineers is Advanced Robotics Following Current Research Trends, and that's typically why this last session has been called Self-Driving Cars, because it is very much in the news and a lot of what technology is trying to deal with at the moment around the world. Okay, and then the challenge itself is really about a robotic vehicle that needs to drive autonomously on a park and drive course mat that randomly changes for each competition round, which I'll talk about on the next slide. Teams focus on all parts of the engineering process, document their process, which they put onto a GitHub repository, and they scored on that as well. Every year, there's a 20 to 30% change will be made to the challenges. So last year, for example, the change was that in round 3, if the last pillar or color was a certain color, then you actually had to turn around and finish the last round in the opposite direction. So I'm going to move on to the next slide, which will probably explain the challenge itself. Again, you can see the mat there, but before we go there, same as all WRO teams, 2 to 3 participants. No restriction on robotic platforms. Okay, so you can use any robotics platform that you see fit. There were even some EV3 and Spike Prime robots at the international competition last year. No to omnidirectional wheel ball caster or spherical wheels. The reason, obviously, with this, because of self-driving cars, is you need to be able to build a robot and code a robot that sort of drives like the vehicle that you would drive if you were an adult, of course. I'm sure you've all tried or ridden garden toys where you've had to turn the steering wheel, etc., with 2 wheels at the back. Right, so we have 2 rounds of competition here. The one is the vehicle must complete 3 laps on the track with random placements of the inside track walls. So, for example, this inside wall that you see here at the moment is right in the center. Okay, that may be moved slightly in one direction or towards a corner. And there is also the option to add a rectangle instead of a square. This is obviously to make sure that you are driving totally autonomously and it's not, you know, a pre-written code or prescribed robot to just move around that at a certain speed in a certain circle to be able to get those rounds done. The other thing that happens in this first challenge is that without all the pillars on it, it's just blank and there's no parking area, is that your robot will be placed for that particular round to start and finish in a certain section of that particular map. Then round 2, using your same robot, is an obstacle challenge. And as you can see, the obstacles are on the table and there are different colors. I'm just going to call those red and green at the moment. It might be a purple, I can't see. Okay. So here again, the vehicle must complete 3 laps on the track with randomly placed green and red traffic signs. So the randomization here is that those traffic signs or pillars of different colors for this particular round will be in a different place. Okay. And effectively, another randomization is that pre-running the robot for this is you will be told whether you need to go left of or right of a certain color. Red pillar at the moment is right side, green pillar is left side. The last pillar, so the change they made last year is that the last pillar is red, then you need to turn around and complete the 3rd lap in the opposite direction and finish, obviously, in a particular set area. Okay, after completing 3 rounds, the vehicle, okay, so now we come to the change for this year's competition from last year. They've added a parking space. So after completing your 3 rounds, there is going to be a parking space on the mat, and you'll see it on the new documents, and you'll know where that is. And then obviously you have to parallel park inside that area to accumulate as many points as you can. All right. Okay. So we've sort of covered all 3 areas, and Tony is still on board. And I think what we'll do is we'll now go to Q&A and relating to judging. Okay. So I'm the leader of my robotics club and would prefer or not to be in my team on judging day. Will I be able to help my team if they need help as a coach? Okay. So the live answer to that is, and I'm not sure which category you're talking about, but it doesn't matter really. Let's just talk. We would like you to judge. It's good for you to be on the floor. Once you're a judge and you're on the floor and there is no access allowed to coaches, then the team cannot consult you for any questions. Okay. You are only as a judge on the floor allowed to assist your team once the competition time is closed and they meet you outside the competition area. I see here now that you've added Future Engineers and Future Innovators. So Future Engineers is a closed off area like with Robo Mission. So if you're going to judge in Future Engineers, yes, we want you to judge. Depending on how many tables there are, normally what we'll try and do is allocate you as a judge onto a table which your team is not, and you're welcome to obviously make sure that we know that on the day. But again, even if you are judging them on their table, there will be other judges to assist you, or you will be assisting other judges to make sure that everything goes according to rules and protocols. Otherwise, even with future engineers, you are only able to consult with your team outside the competition area. In future innovators, you can consult with your team any time of the day. You're just not allowed to interfere while the judges are going through the 10-minute judging process. I hope that answers your question. Yes, another good question, Elsa B. Yes. So provincials, if you go and look at the dates, the provincials will be an online competition, and we at the moment have set it for, I think it's the 3rd of August. Yes, the 3rd of August, Future Engineers Provincial, and Mr. Bernardi will be running that. And then obviously from Future Engineers Provincials and the online competition, depending on scores, etc., teams will be invited to participate at the national event.
For the purple balls, I don't understand when they say it makes the score less. How does that work to help you win? So, Luiso, in the past, a robot without a camera could just go and hit every ball, because he doesn't know the color of the balls. So this year, we just made it a little bit more difficult. The level just moved up that now we put purple balls there that you should not hit, because if you hit the purple ball, there you get penalized by 2 points. So if you see a purple ball, go around it and just look for orange balls. That's the idea in it, that you just don't kick everything, but just a little bit more programming to see if you see purple, do not kick, something like that. I hope that explains it, Luiso.
Thank you, Tony. Yeah, in fact, even today, for the first time, I've now realized the minus. And effectively, what you don't want to do is get that over the net, because if you finish the match and you've got 2 balls on your side, the other team has got 6 balls, minus their 2, and then you minus 2 on your side, your score is 0, and they're actually 4. And then obviously you win the match with the least amount of balls on your side. I've actually only really understood it now. And as you explained to Luiso, the reason you're doing that is because in last year's competition, teams were not using the camera, so colors weren't relevant, so they were just using manual hitting balls that did not recognize the color of the balls.
At YouTube, then you will see the finals of last year in Panama. There are a team, Hellas from Greek, and they used Omni wheels. So do yourself a favor and just put in YouTube there the finals of last year and see how elegantly those robots glides over the field using Omni robots, go in any direction at any time, and that is allowed this year as well.
Thanks, Tony. Yes, so critically, we saw obviously Omni wheels not being allowed in Future Engineers, but within Robo Sports, definitely allowed. And the other thing is, so the only restriction is your controllers and the batteries, and you're obviously adding Arduino. But the other thing is that we've had questions at international level where people have asked if they want to build their own version of a robot out of a 3D print. And that is seemingly also allowed. If you're not sure, ask the question on Q&A and we will put it to them again. But basically the build of your robot, what limits how you build your robots now going forward certainly is just obviously the sizing. Okay, so you've got a certain size that you need to start in, and it needs to fit into that quarantine box, for example. And that's actually the only limit away from controller and Arduino, controllers, Arduino, Lego, and obviously battery control. Tony, thank you very much for joining.